Hello. Hello. Welcome to our first fun and free paint party. Today we are painting a super cute snowy winter gnome. And if you're able to join and watch with us, say hi. Let me know where you're watching from and if you're able to paint with us. Or if you're just going to watch and then paint later. I know a lot of people like to do that. So I'm just going to take a minute and make sure everything looks okay. Okay, looks like I got volume, good volume. Okay, so just to start off with just a little bit of some introduction here. So if you didn't see my video yesterday, my goal is to paint more this year, to grow my painting skills, and I thought why not just bring you guys along with that and offer some free paint party type fun and free paintings where we can paint together and all grow our skills and reap the benefits from painting because art is so healing, and so we can have fun and have some time for recharging our batteries when we paint. There's just so many good things that happen when we kind of push everything aside and focus in on our painting. So I am bringing you guys along with me on my goals to paint more, and so you're going to see a lot of more events for these online paint parties, and yeah, we'll just do some holiday theme ones, some easy ones, maybe a little more difficult sometimes that take a little bit longer than an hour. I am going to try and keep them to an hour, but again, kind of just depends on the inspiration at the moment and what we're painting. So, hi Tiffany from Gillette, Montana. Going to watch and paint later, or draw later, paint later. Awesome. Welcome Tiffany. Welcome Michelle. How are you today? So yeah, that's just kind of a introduction into what we're doing and what you can see in the future. So today's the gnome, and I just love this color scheme, and everything about the colors here just is really nice. So you'll notice that the next 3 paint parties are using the same color scheme, so we've kind of got a matching set here, or a series. So today's the gnome. Next week we've got the cute owl. Again, same colors. We're going to use the same colors here, so we've got that color scheme going on. And then the following week, 3 weeks from now, we do the winter fox, and again, same color. And so we've got this nice cute little set here that you could paint on canvas and hang in a kid's room, or add some fun quotes to. But anyways, let's get started. So we're gonna start by I'll start off by listing the colors. I'm using a white and a black, and then I've also got the green lagoon from Deco Art, and then a bright red from Apple Barrel. And then one last color, we're using an Apple Barrel Sun-Kissed Peach. I did forget to mention that the supply list and tracers are available for free. The link is in the description of this live video. It just takes you to my website where you input your email, and then all of that information is emailed to you. So that was the easiest way I could find to get you that information, because I can't upload PDFs in comments or anything like that. It's just images on Facebook. So if you want to paint along, which I encourage you to do, go check that out and download those. Okay, so we've got our colors there. I'm going to put this aside, and then we'll just talk about the tracer here. Let's see if I can kind of keep it in focus or in the frame so we can see it here and paint here. So the download, like I said, includes the tracer. The tracers are going to come for an 11 by 14 canvas or paper size. You can definitely take those PDFs and scale them down or up, depending if you're trying to go smaller or larger. And they'll come with a top and a bottom labeled. You're just going to print those out, and then you're going to line them up for the design, and then we will tape them off or tape them together and use graphite paper to transfer these images or the outline to our canvas. Okay. So then once you've got this stage done, then what you're going to do is align this inside your canvas or your paper, whatever you're painting on. And one thing I want to note is the bottom edge of this paper is not the bottom edge of your canvas, because of the way we're trying to get the image on. You're going to have extra down here, so be mindful of that. You really want to focus on the image itself and aligning it that way as opposed to the edges of the paper. So I'm just going to eyeball this. We'll put it, we'll go over just a little bit. Looks good. Then I'm going to tape it down. And we'll grab some graphite paper. So graphite paper has a dull side and a shiny side. And when you're using it, you want to have that shiny side down on your paper or canvas. So I'll just slide this in between here. And then I'm going to take a pencil and just quickly trace over my outline here. If you didn't have graphite paper, you could just take the back of the paper or back of the image and take your pencil and create your own piece of graphite. So for instance, like down here, let's say I didn't have graphite paper. Let me find a sharper pencil here. You could just take that and go over just the line work. You don't have to create this on the entire piece of paper. Just go over where the lines are, that you can see those kind of coming through the other side there. And then that acts as your graphite paper, so that you can transfer those onto your canvas or paper if you didn't have graphite paper or carbon paper. Okay. So there we go. I can then remove that. Slide that away, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but we do have our image here on our canvas. Oh yeah, we can see just a little bit of it. White paper always makes things so washed out in videos. Okay. All right, so we are ready to get started. And I've got my palette here. Put those away, and let's just talk about brushes for a second. I'm going to use a large flat brush. And sorry, I got distracted. I lost my train of thought, guys. Sorry about that. So I've got my large flat brush. I'm going to use a small round and then a liner brush as well. So a liner brush is really just a round brush, but super small. And then I've also got a larger round. So a couple different sizes of rounds and then a large flat. All right, so we're gonna work on the background, and the background is just a really simple, easy blended background with two colors. So I'm using white as my main color, and then I'm blending in a little bit of this turquoisey color called Green Lagoon. And guys, if you don't have the same color, exact color, but you have a different turquoise at home, it's really just use what you have on hand. You don't have to go out and buy the exact colors that I'm using. Okay. I got a little glob right in there. It's not letting my paint come out. One second. There we go. Okay. Let's get a little bit more out there. We don't need a lot. So typically when you're doing this blended background, you choose one of your colors as your main color, and then you use a secondary color to add highlights to that. So we're going to just start by putting our large round in the white and loading that up. So I've got a lot of white here. It's not dripping off, but it's also pretty coated on both sides because we want to be able to push this paint around and blend it on the background. And then next, after I get enough white on there, I'm going to dip it in that turquoise color. So at that point then we can come out and just random brush strokes, crisscross, up and down, left and right, and we're just gently blending these two colors together. I love this type of background because it allows us to create new colors when we blend it, but also if we just gently blend it, don't over blend, we get these nice fun white streaks of white. I can see still some of that dark turquoise there, and it's just super pretty, and it's soft and muted, and it's probably one of my favorite backgrounds to do. And it's fast. So if you spend more than 5 minutes on your background, you're spending too much time. You want it to be fast, you want it to be random. If it gets to be too dark, just add a little bit of white and blend it in that area, and vice versa. If you want it to be darker, just add a little bit more blue. Did I say that right? If you want it lighter, add white. If you want it darker, add more blue to the area. So if you're just joining, we are doing our fun and free painting party. And this is the event that we had listed on our Facebook page a couple days ago. And our goal is to, my goal is to increase my paint time and paint more and get better at painting. And so I thought, why not just do some paint parties with you guys? And so here we are. If you want to paint along with us, I would love for you to paint along, and if you want the tracers, that's what I was trying to say. I was trying to get that out. Trying to talk and paint at the same time is a skill that I need to work on. You get lost in the painting, which is the point of it. But if you want the tracers or supply lists, the link is in the description of this live, and it takes you to my website, and you can just click on the download button. It's free, and you just put your email in, and it will automatically email you that zip file, which contains the PDFs. Okay, so that's our background. And so let's work on the snow here. We'll let this dry, and then we'll start to fill in the gnome. So I'm just going to give my brush a quick little wash here, and I'll dry it off. And then let's put a little bit of black on my palette. And put our ground in. So the ground is just a snow-covered ground, so it's mostly just white, but we don't want it to be pure white because we lose dimension. We want to add some different shades to that. So what I'm going to do is load up my brush with white and just gently, just a tiny bit of black. You can barely even see the black on my brush, but that's going to give me just a little bit of some gray in there to give my ground some dimension so it's not all white. And so I'm going to start by going back and forth on this background and blending that black in, and it's going to just give us a really, really light colored gray. And then I'm just going to pull the rest of that paint down in my brush, and it's a little bit light still, so I'm just going to go pick up just a little bit more black. And while that paint is wet, I'm going to blend it back there in the background there where that horizon line is. And then come around the gnome here. If you accidentally get too much black in your brush, you can sometimes just add a little bit of white and lighten it up. And if it starts to just get too much, too goopy, too much paint on the surface, just let it dry and then come back over with some more white. Okay, so let's do that again. Load your brush up with white. We will dip it in the black, and then we're going to come over to this horizon side and create that gray line back there. And I'm going to drag that color down and around the gnome. So it's a little bit dark here, so I'm just going to add a little bit of white to it. Okay, so then I have this line here where he's sitting maybe on a mound or standing on a mound of snow. So I want that to have kind of a gray line that blends down to white. So we're going to do the same thing we did with the horizon. Bunch of white on your brush, a small dip in that black, if I can get it, there we go. And then just take your brush back and forth to start with, getting that gray color, and then just working it down. There we go. So I'm just adding a little bit of white to the areas a little bit. It looked a little dark. There we go. So you can kind of see we've got some shadows happening back here at the horizon line. It blends down to white, and then we've got this shadow here which helps us to create this mound look of snow there that he's standing on. So who are big gnome fans who are excited to paint the gnome? Gnome crazies? Okay. Let's see what's next. We will, let's do the hat. We'll just start from the top and work our way down. Before I do the hat, I'm going to fill in the pom-pom, And I'm going to switch to just a smaller round for this, for a little bit more detail and control. And my pom-pom is kind of going off the side of the canvas here. So I've just got my first coat down on that, and then we can move to the hat. Now I like to mix my own grays. I have a hard time finding the perfect gray in a bottle. It's either too green or too light or too blue, and so we're gonna mix our own. If you have a gray that you love in the paint bottle and you want to use that, go right ahead. Okay, so I've got a lot of white here. I know I'm going to need quite a bit of paint for the hat, so I've put a bunch of white on my palette, and I'm going to start by just grabbing a small amount of black and mixing that in. Now black is very potent, and you don't need a lot to really darken a color, so always start small and in smaller bits and add as you need. So that's a little bit light, so we're going to just grab a little bit more, blend it in, and I'm just going to keep doing that until I get the gray that I want. And I kind of want that nice dark charcoaly gray. It's getting there, guys. It's getting there. One more dollop, I bet we'll have it. So if you're able to watch, do say hi. Let me know you're watching. I'd love to hear where you're watching from. What are you doing today? Are you on your lunch break? So, not dark enough. We need it a little bit darker. I'm going to just put a dollop of black in there. I had quite a bit of white there. There we go. Now we're starting to see that charcoal color come out. All right. Hi Sandra. Hi Jody. Kind of got carried away with the white, I think, you guys. It's taken just a little bit more than it normally does. All right, there we go. Still not quite as dark as my original though, but we're gonna go with it because it's dark enough. All right, so we're just gonna get that first coat down on our hat, and this is a nice this darker gray is not really translucent, so I probably won't need a second coat on this. But if you're painting with a lighter color, a light gray or even just white, most of the time will require a second coat. So keep that in mind. If you're changing up the colors to your preference, you might need to do 2 coats on the hat or anything else that you're painting. Okay. Just make sure everything's still going good. Okay. hat is done. All right, so I'm going to get a little bit more white. Like I said, we're going to start from the top and work our way down. I'm going to fill in the rim of the hat with just white. So we'll give our brush a cleaning. And we'll grab some white. Be careful be careful to not grab some of that gray as you're painting. If you accidentally pull some into the rim, just let your paint dry and come back with a second coat to cover up that smear. And then if you want to, you can always use a blow dryer to help speed the process up. And you'll probably see me use it a couple times here and there if we've got a big project and I need something dry fast. I've always got mine on the ready. All right, hat rim is done. Let's grab that sun-kissed peach for his nose. So if you guys do end up painting the gnome at a later time, I would love to see your work and would love to see you share it either on our page or tag us in it if you're sharing it on your private page. The best part about doing these with a group of people is seeing the creativity come out in everyone's paintings, and just having seen maybe a different design in the hat, or maybe somebody decided the body should be a different color, and it's just so cool to see everybody's variation in the paintings. It's probably about the best part of doing these paint parties. Okay, so I don't know if you noticed, I was talking and I skipped over that, but I finished painting the nose with the peach, and I wanted to put just a quick little highlight on the top where the sun's coming in, and so we have this glint on his nose. And so I went, before washing my brush, I still had the peach on it, I dipped it in the white, I came out and I kind of just blended a little bit of white there on the top. So I apologize for not talking through that. I was visiting about something else. Okay, so now the beard, and again, that's another gray. I'm going to mix it myself, and I've actually, because I had so much gray up here, I've got just a little bit of some lighter gray off to the side that I wasn't mixing in with the dark, so I'm going to use that. So if when you're doing it, you'll want to get a little bit of white and then continually add that black until you get the gray that you want. So it looks a little bit dark right now, but I want to put down my base layer for this beard in more of a darker tone, and then I'm going to come in with some white after the fact, and even just a lighter gray, and add the highlights that way. But this way, this gives it the base. So think about, we're painting in the back part of his beard, right? We're painting in the hair that we can't see that's closest to his body, and then from there we're going to add layers on top of that we will create some fun brush strokes with the white to indicate curly hair, and then that's the hair that's the closest to us or furthest away from his body. Okay, so our first coat is done. And then we'll come back in with some white. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to not wash my brush. And I'm going to dip my brush into that white. And I'm going to just start blending some brush strokes in the white there just to lighten it up. The paint is still wet and it's just creating this blended color. It's kind of a mix of the dark gray and the white, which is giving me a lighter gray. And I'm being mindful of my brush strokes going down because I want the beard to appear to be going down. We're creating those hairs with those brush strokes. So this is our third layer, or our second layer, and then we're going to do one more layer after that with just white, and we're going to create the curl. If you want to create your gnome with more straight hair, then you would just skip that step and just keep your brush strokes going straight down and not create those curly cues in the beard. So you can start to see how that is creating this nice dimension in the beard. We're getting some different shades of gray, and it looks really cool. Okay. All right, we're gonna leave this to dry now, and then we'll come back in with that third coat to define the curly cues. But let's just kind of touching up around the edge here a little bit. I've missed a spot. We'll continue going down and then we'll come back and do our touch-ups here at the end. All right, let's grab that bright red. And with this red here, to get this red, I'm going to mix the red with the black to get this darker brick red. If you had a dark red that you wanted to use, you could definitely do that. I just really like mixing my own colors and getting that red just the way I want it. So what you're going to see here is I typically put my red in a bright red down first, and it's this really awful looking, well, it's not awful, I shouldn't say that, but it's obviously not the same, right? It's really bright, and red doesn't cover all that well, so we're going to see a really splotchy first coat. But we will be going over with a second coat, and we're going to darken it up and give it some black tones in there and darken it to that more brick red color. And so then it's kind of goes to what you're seeing here in my finished product. So super bright, super kind of splotchy looking, like I said, but first coat. Second coat's gonna make it look tons better. Okay, so last thing down here then is his feet. and still just using my medium round, I'll just fill that in with black. There we go. All right, so let's go back to the beard. It's pretty much dry, so we're going to use, actually I'm going to switch to my smaller round and start adding those fun curly cues in the beard. So I'm going to work my way across here. I'm just going to come down with the white and curl around that little loop right here, so down and around. And then I'm going to create another little curly right here off of that. Round part of the beard. So I'm working my way around the edge first, and then I'll go inside and add some curly cues there. So I'm having my curls come around to the center here. And then inside, I'm just going to pretty much just create almost half circles in different, what's the word I'm looking for? So if I started at the right, I'm going to start the next one the other way on the left, so that they're kind of all going in different directions. Okay, and so I've got this area is full of curly cues, and then from this point I've kind of created these, just kind of a wave down. So it's kind of straight and then it curls up at the bottom. Okay. All right, so just kind of working our way back up here, and the nose doesn't need a second coat. We've that peach did a really great, had a good coverage, but my rim has I have a little bit of blue that I can still see, so I'm just gonna come and do a second coat on my rim here, my hat rim. Okay, and I've got my small brush, my small round. I have no idea what size this is. It's probably a 4, maybe a 2, and I'm going to use that to create my design on my hat. This is all dry and ready for that step, so we can do that. And I'm trying to decide if this is the brush I want to use. Actually, I'm going to switch over to this one. So this is a round 3. Okay, so I'm just going to create my crosses. And kind of the method that I'm using is, and they're not in a straight line either because there's this mound where his hat is, but I've created three, one on the end, the middle, and the end here. And then my next one is going to be in between these a little bit higher. So my next row will have two, then I'll go back to the three, and so on and so forth. So you can kind of create a pattern so it helps you placing them so they're not too close together or just kind of odd shaped. But also don't get too concerned about being perfect here. Don't get out a ruler. These are actually a little smaller than my original. I'm just going to make them a little bit bigger here. There we go. You could also do polka dots on his hat. You could do stripes. Lots of fun different patterns you could do. You could do a mixture. Okay. So I'm going to then, my hat's kind of turning here, so I'm going to start to try and turn my crosses as well a little bit. Kind of still keeping them in line. Okay, and then at this point, let's just put one more right here. Okay, and then if you can see here, I have a line where the hat has folded, so I'm not going to continue with this pattern from this point on. It's just random, and I'm going to turn my crosses to the side as well. And there we go. Let's just put one right at the tip here, kind of a half a one we see. Okay. And then I'm going to just create a highlight up here, just a quick little white line going across for a highlight. Let's do one on the side here and on this side. And there we go. Okay, you guys, it's getting close. So what we have left is we need to put the second coat on our body here, and then we'll come in and outline everything and kind of give it some more defining lines with the black outline. Before I do that, while I have white on my brush, I'm going to give my boots a highlight at the top here where the sun would hit the top of the boot, and then just kind of define the sole, putting a line across the bottom here. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to move back into my larger round to put that second coat on my body. And I'm going to, I think I have enough red, but I'll get just a little bit more red. And I'm going to grab a little bit of black and mix that in to get the brick red that I'm looking for. So like I said, you don't have to mix your red. If you want or had a darker red paint, you could definitely use that. Honestly, the bright red is always just right here in front of me, and I'm just too lazy to go find the red I want, so I just mix my own. But you could definitely use something else there if you wanted to. Alright, so you can start to see that dark red come through, and makes it look a lot better. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to grab just a little bit of black, mix it with just a small amount of this red here on the side. I want something just a hair bit darker so that I can create a shadow. Again, we want to create some depth in our body. We don't want it to be all just one color. So I'm going to take that dark, just a shade darker there. I'm going to just create a brush stroke on this side of the body here where we're going around, and it would be a shadow there. Then we'll create a shadow here at the bottom where he's sitting, and then just a little bit right here. It's very subtle, it's not a big change there, but it does give us that nice dimension that we need. Okay. So let's move on to our liner brush and our black, and let's start creating some fun accents and outline this guy, or define him. So I'm going to use my liner brush, just a very tiny round, and I'm going to grab some black, and I'm going to water it down just a little bit. It's been sitting on my palette, so it tends to dry. Acrylics dry really fast, and so it can get a little tacky and thick. So I'm just going to water it down. Makes it easier to outline with if it's a little bit watered down. You don't want it dripping off your brush, but just a little bit of water helps. A couple drops. Okay. So because this is wet, I'm going to start at the top and work my way down. With the pom-pom, I'm going to come in and create some little defining shapes here to make it look more like a pom-pom. Kind of give it some rounded edges and bring that line in a little bit. And then we'll just come under the hat here. At this point here, I'm going to take a line straight up into the hat to define that fold, and then bring it straight down. Okay. And I'll come around. So I don't know if you've noticed, but I've taped my paper down. It helps hold my paper, and then plus it's going to give me this great edging or border, and I'll show you that at the end. But the downside to that is I can't move my paper so that I can easily get to areas. So typically I would rotate my canvas or rotate my notebook so that I could easily get to this side of my painting so that I could rest my hand, but I'm not able to do that when it's paint or taped down. It's pretty dry, but just be careful if you're setting your wrist down on your painting to be able to create those outlines that your painting is dry. There has been many times I have forgotten, and this whole area is full of paint. So tip there is to don't be afraid to rotate your work so that you can easily get to those areas when you're doing your fine detail. Alright, so we got our hat done. Let's just go around the rim here. And in this case, I'm just doing a straight outline, but a lot of times it's really fun to add some fun little dots in there, or you can do a little X for like a stitch mark. You could do some dashes in there, and they just add some really fun, kind of a whimsical touch to the painting. Even just those small little elements can kind of change it. So don't be afraid to experiment with that as well. Okay, so we're going to go around the nose. Around the beard. Come down the body side here. The boots are already black, so we don't need to do that. Okay, and then I'm also going to take a line across my horizon here, and I'll just let it fade away. Same on this side. And then where he's standing, I'm going to pull a line off the side there, and then on this side as well. Alright, we're almost done. I just want to add some white outlines here on his body. And maybe just get a little bit more white here. And then we just do the snow. Last step is the snow. So I'm going to get a little bit more white. And if you're just joining, we are just kind of do my introductory again at the end, my summary, I guess. And so I don't know if you caught my video yesterday, but my goal for my business and personal is to grow my painting skills and just paint more this year. And so with that, I was thinking about when I want to paint and all of that and how that's going to look. And I thought, well, why not just bring you guys along and do more paint parties and kind of make it a fun event. And so we are going to be hosting some of these. They're going to be called Fun and Free, and we'll do 3 to 4 a month. They'll be absolutely free. We just want to kind of share that healing power of painting with you guys, because it is so just rejuvenates and heals, and it's fun, and it helps us kind of relax and step away from the day-to-day stresses. And so we're sharing that with you guys through these events. So be on the lookout for those. We'll post them as an event on the Facebook page. The downloads and the supply lists are absolutely free. There's a link in the description for those, and it just takes you right to the my website, and you just insert your email, and it'll email you those PDFs in a zip format for you to use. These will all be recorded and saved for future use, so if you can't catch them now, or if you just want to watch the first time and then paint later, they'll be available on our website until Facebook takes them down, I guess. So there we go. Again, I got to talking and not talking about what I was doing. But to do the snow, I just used the back of my brush. I dipped it into the paint and then I just dotted all along like you saw. But that gives me that really nice even spot. It's like a little stamp and I get this great snow. I did not put snow on him. I didn't want to clutter, you know, my design here. And so I just snowed the background there. And then, like I said, I did tape my canvas down, or my canvas paper. And the reason I did that was to create a nice white border around this. And I will reveal that now for you guys. So if you want to do this yourself, I do recommend using some sort of painter's tape for this. You don't want to use a Scotch tape. Obviously not any sort of duct tape. Washi tape does work. And I did not measure. I just eyeball it and put it down. And then when you put it down, just make sure to rub all your edges really good so your paint doesn't leak underneath. But now you can see I have this really great white border around my canvas. So it's already like a pre-made frame or a matting. And there we go. That is our Winter Gnome tutorial. Like I said, if you guys paint along and do this later, I would love to see your work. I love seeing how everyone does a little variation. You know, your guys' creativity comes out and you start thinking, well, what if? And you start doing something a little bit different. And that's the beauty of art. We all just kind of have our own ideas and we start playing around. And really that's where the healing powers come, when we do stuff like that. So I love seeing your guys' variation. I would love to see your work. You could message it to me, you could post it on our page, you could put it in the comments here, or put it on your page and tag us in it. That'd be great too. So anyways, I'll let you guys go. I hope you enjoyed this painting tutorial. I will we're doing the owl next week, and so I look forward to painting with you again. You guys have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks.